Hello and welcome to episode number 56 of the Hobbies and Happiness podcast, where we talk all about the hobby that makes us happy, tabletop gaming. I'm one of your hosts, Dan.
And I'm Jim, and today we're talking about what makes a game exhausting.
All right, welcome to today's episode, everybody. And so today's episode, again, we really had to think about the topic for today, but what we were doing is we're going through our list like normal, and then going through some episode titles of some other podcasts that we enjoy, and we saw this. Thanks, Zach and Steven, Team Covenant. They've done one of these, and you know what? I might as well just shout them out. Team Covenant, the Covenant Cast, episode 134. If you want to go check out their conversation about what makes games in general exhausting. So that's where we got the idea. So we want to give kind of our spin and our take on it. So before we get into it, I want to talk about our sponsor, Audible. All right. Do you like audiobooks? You know what? I do. I enjoy audiobooks. I don't want to say time waster, but a good efficient use of time, especially when you're on your daily commute to the office. You can sign up for a free 30-day trial of Audible. Head over to www.audibletrial.com. Use our link Hobbies and Happiness. Again, that's audibletrial.com/hobbies and happiness. You can sign up for your free 30-day trial and get a free book. And if you're an Amazon Prime member, you get 2 free credits. 2 free credits if you're an Amazon Prime member. Otherwise, just get 1 free credit, but that it is a free book or 2 that you get to keep. You can cancel before the end of your 30-day trial. Keep that free book with you as well. But go check that out. Again, that's audibletrial.com/hobbies and happiness. Sign up for your free trial today. All right. So talking about what makes games exhausting today.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I initially saw that, I'm like, all right. Instantly, I'm like, all right, I know what Jim's list is.
I kind of had this discussion yesterday as
Really?
well with Avi. Just very little.
Okay.
Just one of the things
Okay.
that
All right.
I've noticed about myself, and then also
Yeah.
this one video guy talked about. So.
Okay. So yesterday we had played some Modern at a local game store. All right. And so that was nice. And honestly, there were a few matches that were kind of exhausting, you know. But it's interesting too. Like Jim and I both have very different. Obviously experience. Everyone has different experiences, but we're very different people, and like especially in the way we approach games and even card games. And so some things that like I enjoy, Jim like absolutely hates, right? But I know it now. Like before, I'm like, wait, really? Like I didn't know it, right? But now I'm like, yeah, I know just the type of person he is, and so like I can instantly tell, yeah, he's gonna hate it. So what we want, the way we're gonna approach this is we've got a few things that we'll talk about, and then towards the end, I have some ideas of things that make a game exhausting for him, and then he's got some ideas for me. All right, so I kind of literally just thought about that. I'm like, all right, let's do that at the end.
Let's add a little bit more to it.
Let's do it. So, all right, so I have a few things here that I think are going to be kind of universal, and then we also want to kind of apply it specifically towards card games. Okay. Now, before we get into it, guys, let us know if you're watching this on YouTube. Comment down below what makes a game exhausting for you, and then think about it if you're a card game player. What makes a card game exhausting for you? Like Hearthstone. Think about that. Like if you're a Magic player on Arena or Yu-Gi-Oh. Think about your experiences in those games and think about, we've all had those experiences and we're like, okay, this absolutely sucks. It's so bad. That's terrible. Think about that. Let us know down below before we get into it. So, okay. So the first thing I've got here is too much thinking. Now, that's I think that's a little counterintuitive, right?
Which is weird to say.
Right, exactly. Because like we're talking about strategy games.
Yeah.
Like we're strategy game players, right? Yeah. This is what we do is thinking, right? But compare and contrast the amount and type of thinking that mono red player, again Magic reference, the mono red player thinks about, and then your mono blue player.
Very aggressive style versus a very control style normally. is what we'll say normally.
Yes, right. Very different. I mean, like if you're grinding the Magic Arena ladder, you know, a lot of times, and I've heard this advice a lot. If you want to grind the ladder, just play mono red. You can
Play
just knock
something
out game
aggressive. Yep.
after game after game after game. You can probably knock out 5 games in this same span of time it takes you to play one game if you're playing mono blue.
Yep.
Or any control list for that matter.
Yeah.
Right. But so, you know, a lot of this is obviously going to go to play style, right? A lot of this conversation is going to go to play style. Like literally what I just said about like Jim's frame of reference and then mine as well. Very different types of players, right? So I think too much thinking definitely can be one. So like, what do you think?
Yeah, it's definitely a big part, I think. Because one thing I've noticed about myself is my tournament endurance ridiculously low. Like,
is it just in general or like when playing a control list?
I think in general. So,
Oh, really?
which is why I tend to go for a more offensive style of gameplay.
Yeah.
Because I want it to be over in 20 minutes. So then the rest of that 30 minutes, 40 minutes, I can just sit there and do nothing and just prepare myself for the next match. To where if I'm playing a control list, oh, all right, we spent the entire hour playing. Great, now I got to go into my next match, and I have no time to just reset myself, you know. But yeah, my my tournament endurance is bad, which is why I just tend to go for mono red or burn style.
Yeah. So,
But I still love playing control, but I can't do it very long.
how does that work then?
Which,
Like, that's what I don't get.
Now we think about it, right? Like, in our commander games, whenever I'm playing like a control deck, normally once it gets to around that hour and a half, I'm kind of just like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Like, so you know, he already knows about it.
I know.
But it's really weird. I just love playing it, but I can't do it for a very long time.
So you would never be okay, no offense meant, but you would never be a good professional player.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Because I mean, like,
which is why I would love to be like a coach or a judge for a tournament. Like, I can just go around, help people that are needed, sitting down, doing whatever just relaxing until I'm needed for certain things.
So all right. So
I love being in the environment.
For sure, obviously. Yeah. But let's take the coaching thing. So you just mentioned you think you'd be a good coach, right? So, like, what if you're coaching a certain player, like just one player, and they have a long match, and they've got an hour and a half match, they're playing control. Now, granted, in most tournament environments, your matches are not going longer than an hour. In fact, they're probably going 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Right?
If we're talking about before you get to cut to top 8 or top 16, depending on what it is, yeah, it's pretty much an hour.
Okay. So let's say we still have that time frame. Okay. Now, if you're coaching one player, right, you're probably following them throughout the day. Would you be able to be engaged with them, not necessarily with them the whole time? Is that different? Like, is that
a lot different?
Is it really?
Being a spectator watching this stuff go on, I would say is a lot more different than being in the gameplay.
So I see that. Like, that makes sense to me. But is a coach? Do you think a coach's perspective is different from just any other spectator? Like, do you think, because I mean, I don't know, I've never really been put into this position, because my only frame of reference is from like a player standpoint, right? But would a coach need to be on that same level as a player, like really know what's going on? That way, if they see them make a mistake, they'd be able to mention it in the end, like after post game.
So,
or is that still like?
Well, so the other thing is, like, when we talk about professional teams for Magic, right? Normally all those players are just extremely good and they're all helping each other. So if one's spectating the one person's game, they're going to coach them about things that have happened during it. For sure. Yeah. It's just I know I'm not like amazing at the game, but I know I'm decent at the game.
For sure.
And like, especially for my play style, I also know other deck play styles as well. So I have a pretty good amount of information in terms of especially being able to read and see exactly what's going on in a board state,
Right.
and then talking about it with the people afterwards.
Yeah, because it's definitely a thing. I mean, I think a lot of us have been there. In fact, we were literally just there yesterday, like at Modern FNM, basically.
Yeah.
Like I started off my first 2 matches. I mean, I talked to you about them.
Yeah.
Like we
Yeah.
talked about them,
Yeah.
and you were gone.
Yeah, I didn't even get to watch
No,
like any
you-
games.
yeah, you were gone.
There were
But-
some people I haven't seen in like a year, so
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, I'm talking to them
yeah,
now."
yeah. So, but like I walked you through like how every match went. And like I told you what the deck was like. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Asking me questions about what exactly they played.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I totally get it.
And there's also one thing I've noticed about my play style. So if I'm ever in like a really bind situation, I always try to lean back and try to take everything in that's going
Yeah.
on rather than like leaning forward, looking at specific things. You get to see, like just standing back essentially, like pretty much being a spectator to my own games. And I'll be like, all right, what is going on here? What do
Yeah.
I have? What can get me out of certain scenarios? But just essentially taking a step back and looking at the game as a whole through a spectator lens
Yeah.
has made me play a lot better.
Yeah,
as
it's.
well.
I mean, like if you're watching this, you'll see. But like it's very much a different thing if I'm sitting at the table, hunched over, looking at my cards like this, versus like even just looking at my cards here.
Yeah.
Right. It's
Yeah.
it's a very different thing. If you're just listening. I was initially like leaning forward, hunching over, and then leaned back in my seat quite a ways, and then just like relaxing a little bit. But like Jim was saying, like taking it in. It's very different. It's much more relaxing, right?
Yeah.
But it puts you in that different frame of mind, right? That little frame of reference difference. But going off of the too much thinking, like if you apply that to any other game, if you have a game where I have to think about what's going on this side of the board. I got to think about what's going on over here. I got my armies over here, and then I've got the cards in my hand. They do something, and then I got my dice over here. If there's too much,
Gotta worry about stuff my opponent has that I know versus what I don't.
yeah. And like that's an actual like genre of game. Like 4X is a thing, 4X strategy.
Yeah.
Like I've never really played or got into those games, but I know that they're long and there's a lot of thinking. That goes into it. For some people love it. I remember the conversation we had with Kelly, and she's like, she loves that crunchy strategy. She's like, her favorite designer of Vita Lacerda, I think.
Yeah.
She's like, those are long games, but she loves it.
When she's like 4 hours in a game, I'm loving this. I'm like, oh, I'm not.
Like I'd enjoy playing just to see if I think I'd enjoy it. And my initial take is I think I'd probably enjoy it, but I don't know for how long I'd enjoy it, right? But like it's something I don't have a ton of experience in.
Yeah.
I just know I've heard a lot of people. Normally they're just, oh dude, that's just way too long. It's not for me.
What's the game Twilight Imperium where it's like 8 hours long or something like that?
Yeah.
I have friends that'll joke about like, oh, let's go play this. I'm like, no, I can't even joke about playing that game. I just can't. Even though like D&D, I can play D&D for hours.
Yeah.
But it's a different thing.
Yeah.
And it's also my play style. Again, I'm just sitting back and letting all the other people have fun until I'm like, let's add something to this, Go off and do this.
Yeah, like going off of that though, like they enjoy it. You're like, I'm not having that great of a time, but I know they're having fun. I'm just gonna plop a big ol', let's just make it more interesting. That way, I'm having a little bit of fun here,
Let's
right?
just change it up a little bit.
Yeah, change it up. Going off of that though, we talk about too much thinking, too much time. Like we're literally kind of just talking about that, but that's a big thing too.
Yeah.
Like if immediately you read on a box 4 to 8 hours. Nope. That's a big pile of nope.
Yeah, I'm not playing that.
Like, I get it. Like, some people really enjoy those games. Like, that's great, right? And I think you can probably get. I'm hoping you get from all of our conversations that, if we talk down about it, it's not that we think. Sometimes we don't think it's necessarily bad. It's just it's not our cup of tea, right? It's not for us.
Yeah.
So something that's 4 hours, immediately I know it's not for him. I know that's not for Jim.
Can't do it.
Yeah, right. Some people can't, right? So it's like it's knowing who you're playing with. But I mean, talk about exhausting. I mean, isn't that like the literal definition? Like it's I never really knew it was a thing. Like games that could go for that long. Like dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. So this next one kind of goes off of both of these, but it's too many resources.
Yes.
I think too many resources is an easy way of leading to, now I got to think about X, Y, and Z, and now A, B, and C. Like keeping all of your resource pools straight.
And not just yours, your opponents as well.
But
however
why?
many.
Why do you don't necessarily have to. Because like there's games to where, I mean, if you think about solitaire, right?
Yeah.
You know, we say, and it's a thing that's said, like, oh, this is just solitaire.
If it's a specific, like a solitaire game to where you only have to worry about your own stuff and you can't really interact with your opponent, then yeah, you don't have to.
Right. But yeah, like if you need to know what your opponent's doing, like if there's that level of interaction, then that's just another thing that you need to keep track of to know what your opponent is doing.
Yeah.
I mean, like that leads to too much thinking. Like
all these kind of work together.
Yeah, right. But if it feels like work, that's a great way of like, oh yeah, this is not fun.
Yeah.
It's not fun. Now, there's definitely people who like will take that as a challenge. Like, all right, I have my wheat that I got to track, my grain, I have my piggies, I have my grass, I also have my bacon that I got to track.
Right.
You know what I like? There's all these different things, and you have tokens for each and every little one of them, right? Yeah, that's just that. Yeah. That's a very fast way of making something very, very exhausting. Do you have any like? I mean, again, thinking about Magic, there's one resource: your lands. For the most part, it's your lands.
Your
life is a resource. Your life is a resource. Yes.
Until it hits 0.
Right, but in general, like the resources that you need to pay for something, it's your lands. Right. Very simple to count. How many lands do I have? Equals how many resources do I have, right? When you're trying to manipulate that, okay, it's easy. It's just my lands. Okay. Okay, before we get onto this next one, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Do you have any games or remember a gaming session where one of these things came about? There was that you just it made something super exhausting.
All right, so I shouldn't bring up Magic then.
No, that's fine.
Okay,
like if that's one, that's fine. I want to hear about it.
I've had so many experiences where Magic's exhausting.
So then why do you keep playing then? I think it's a good question
because I still enjoy it. And I also have had a lot of experience where Magic wasn't exhausting. It just, it comes down to that RNG factor of does it become exhausting or doesn't it? I also have far too many friends that play this game. And even if I like another card game, right? Let's say it's my favorite card game in the world.
Okay.
But I don't have people to play it with. I'm probably not really going to play it.
Are we talking IRL or digital or yes?
IRL, really. Oh, I guess both. So, yeah, if I just don't really have people to play a game with, I don't really play it, especially card games.
Right.
If it's like an MMO I'm playing, well, there's a bunch of people out in the world that I can talk to about it.
Right.
So, but, yeah, let's say Magic.
Okay.
In a bunch of our Commander games that we've had, let's say recently, maybe there was, we were sitting at the table and this table and with AJ, Tyler, yourself,
Okay, I think I know where this is going.
Yeah. And,
I think.
maybe you do. I don't know. I mean, I'm just playing control decks. And it just gets to the point where I just want someone to win the game. It's about an hour into the game, and I just want someone to win it. So,
how many of you have been there? How many of you have been there? Like you're literally playing Commander.
I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk about that Magic story. I want to talk about Unstable Unicorns with my brother.
Okay.
It was you, my brother,
place?
at your other place.
Okay, all right.
So we get to.
I briefly remember that.
It was the exact same scenario. It got to an hour-long game.
Yeah.
And I'm just done with this. All right. I want to go home, move on to something else.
Okay.
And Dan, I remember him saying, hey, your brother's about to win the game. You need to kill that specific thing. And I was like, oh, yeah, with this card? I'm like, okay, cool. I play it, and I target to kill one of Dan's things.
Yeah,
and then my brother proceeds to win on the next turn.
Yeah,
I'm like, thank you.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Okay, all right. So let's go off of that, right? Because all of this I know is like what going back to goes. This all points back to you, for the most part, right? Okay, I want to be done with it, or I'm not having fun, or whatever the case may be, right?
I've thought way too much about this game. Nothing's progressing fast enough.
So, okay, and so I don't know if we've had an episode about this, but like, what's the point? Like, why are we playing, right? Yeah. Okay, I seem to remember, okay, we literally we just had this conversation. Very minor, very short conversation, but someone enjoys the cards that do the damage so he can win faster, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Okay. So
it sounds like a person.
How does that story that you just said equate to you winning?
It didn't.
Right. So
I also wasn't even anywhere close to winning that game.
I remember that vaguely.
Yeah.
Like I remember what you're talking.
Yeah.
I remember that happened.
Yeah.
I don't remember much else.
Okay. Yeah. I just
remember.
Close.
I remember we had fun. I remember that was fun, and I do remember.
So it was kind of like
which Unstable Unicorns is a long game. Like that can be a long game.
Yeah.
Especially with no matter the player count, it'll be a long game.
3 players makes it more rough because if you're close to winning, well, now you have 2 people trying to screw you over now.
Right.
Or 4 people or whatever it is.
Right.
So, yeah, I wasn't even close to winning that game. And I know it was between you and Kyle.
It was very swingy. I think it was pretty swingy, that game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I knew it was between you and Kyle, and I'm like, all right, he literally has never played this game before. He's misplayed multiple times in a row. I'm just going to give him the win.
So question here. So in that scenario, like that's kitchen table thing, right?
Yeah.
You're playing with, family, friends. In that situation, I think when that happened, I'm like, of course Jim would do that, right?
Especially since you're like, he's about to win. I'm like, good. Good.
So would you have done that in a situation to where it was another person, and like if it was all friends
of
yours,
in that exact same scenario,
if it was all friends, would you have done that same thing?
If we're saying the exact same scenario, yes.
Okay. Now,
because
what if
I also have kind of already done that in Magic before.
Right.
With a group of our friends.
Right. So, okay, same scenario. Okay. Now, say it's you and me or someone else, like you and a friend.
Yeah,
and then
some random kid named Justin.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. and then two people that you're not friends with. Would you have done the same thing?
Yes.
You would have.
Yeah.
And then so your friend would have lost. Let's say it was the other person.
All right, if we're talking about an hour into the game, I also probably those new people that I would have been playing with, they would have been having a fun time as well throughout that entire hour-long game. And so yeah, I would have given the win to someone, whoever was close. Yeah.
So
it doesn't have to be a friend.
So okay, but my point is then, what is the point then? Like, are you why
hanging out and
right? But why
hanging out with
why
people.
are you all just arbitrarily saying I want the game to be over now? What if the other three people playing don't want that?
Okay.
It does like that's no factor.
It could be. If so at that point I would be openly saying this, right? Of I just want this game to be over with. Okay.
But what if the three other people at the table aren't with you? Like the other three people at the table are
if
like
that was
I don't
the case, then I would just scoop it up.
so you would just end the game.
I would end the game for myself.
Oh, interesting. Well, I mean, I'm not surprised. Like I kind of figured, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, do you think that takes the other three people out of that game? Because what if that?
I would also
go ahead.
Like kind of throughout the entire game, I kind of would have been feeling how they were also taking into account the game itself, right? So, like I was saying, two brand new people I've never met, I would pretty much befriend them in the game, having them laugh about certain things, getting to the point where they're perfectly fine with me ending this game because I'm just like
But what if
want
it
this
never
game
gets
over.
there? But what if it never gets there?
I haven't been in that situation yet.
All right, but hypothetically, let's say it doesn't get there.
If it doesn't get there,
Like if it doesn't get to that,
then I end the game for myself, and then the rest of the people continue to play.
okay, all right.
But I've never been put in that situation. So, yeah.
I think you can understand. Like I'm trying to get to. I don't know where I'm trying to get to, but I'm just trying to get to the like. Now I know Jim, right? And mostly when he does that, there's a lot of times I think it's annoying, but I'm like, it's Jim. I accept it. It is what it is. I have accepted that. Right. But like, in all honesty, that's not how I play. And I don't enjoy that. Like if I start a game, I'm playing it to win, period. Right. Of course I'm playing to have fun, right? Like I'm never not playing a game to have fun for the most part, right? And especially now I've gotten to the point to where like I know the other people at the table, even if I don't know them, like I want them to have a good time, right? And so I know sitting down to a game with Jim, I know, okay, clock's basically ticking,
There's
right?
a clock.
There's a mental clock for him, right? So I've already accepted that. Okay.
I'm already going to make sure all the other people are having fun from me complaining about where I'm at in the game.
But like and we'll stop this conversation right here because I feel like this is just we're tangent. We're going off on a tangent here. But I think it's a good conversation, right? Because I think I don't think my personal thought is I don't think what's the point for you? I don't think you should say, well, I want it this way, and that's how it's going to be for the entire table. That period, end of story. Personally, now I used to be like that. Like I used to do that. But I don't think, and like knowing Jim, I know his mind is always that I want everyone at the table to have fun. Yeah. But all that being said and known, I know what's fun for me. And if I'm not having fun, I will either remove myself from the situation. Well, that's it. Like I'm either going to end the game or just remove myself from the situation. Yeah. And me, like, I don't know, like that's just not where I would go to. But again, that's me.
Yeah. Especially if I know the game for myself, right?
Sure.
It happened yesterday. I didn't play Villainous. I refused to play. So these people, some old friends that I haven't seen in like over a year, they were playing Disney Villainous and with a bunch of other people that I didn't know. But we talked, we're friends now. But I refused to play Disney Villainous with them. But I stuck around, helped them with certain things that they needed. I was a judge for Disney Villainous.
A judge?
Yeah, we're going to put quotes around judge.
Level 3 judge.
Yeah, head judge. And so, yeah, it was... They all had a fun time as well.
Yeah, they did.
And so I knew that I probably wasn't going to add anything to that party.
The other thing was that was already a
6.
1, 2. Yeah, that was already a 6-person game. Yeah. So no.
Yeah,
That was already crazy.
Yeah.
It was already a lot of people.
Yeah.
Playing a 6-person game of Villainous is a lot.
Yeah.
You're adding a 7th person is just insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I've been around the game genre for long enough to know I was not going to enter that and have a lot of fun.
Right.
So.
Right. And as soon as I sat down, I saw those game boxes. I'm like, oh boy, is Jim gonna play some Villainous?
Noah pointed it out too. He's like, "Oh, look, it's your favorite game." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, man. I don't hate the game. I just think there's problems with it that I didn't want to deal
he really
with.
does not like the game. He really does not like the game. And you know what, guys? Like, I've gotten to the point where I'm like, all right. If we ever want to do more gameplay of Villainous on the channel, I'll probably have to find somebody else to sit in that seat to play the game.
Or just have me play Queen of Hearts, man. I'll play Queen of Hearts.
Yeah, right. If we want to get other characters on it, which, here, I'll just whatever.
Yeah. Anywho.
Right. So, but again, I think that really kind of is a whole other topic of what's
I should probably go to therapy.
Yeah, you need therapy. Don't we all need therapy? All right, so okay. So yeah, you talked about some stories, right, of what makes games exhausting. And we were just talking, I think we talked about this, I don't know if it was yesterday or today. But like we're both, Jim and I are very, very different in a lot of aspects, but like normally for me, like we were talking about like games we regret of like a video idea. That someone in our Discord gave to us.
Great idea. Super good idea. I love it.
Yeah. So we're probably gonna do a video on that a little bit later. But I made the comment, I'm like, it's not that like I regret a lot of stuff, because like for me, I enjoy and have fun with a lot of the games that I buy. And I don't know, like if I'm like in the minority on that, but like I normally don't regret a lot of the games that I buy. Like all of these games that you see like on our shelves here, either like I've played and have had fun with like all of these games. So I don't know, like I feel like I have yet to buy and play a game that I have instantly and immediately regretted. Now, granted, I'm not getting like, okay, here's 10 games this week. We're going to play them all. And then, okay, these ones are great. These ones are bad.
We really play the games that we like.
If I buy it, I'm already knowing that like I'm going to like it because I've looked into it. So that's got to be part of the reason too, for sure. But
for me, when I was telling Dan, I'm like, could I pick a game that you own that I regret you buying? Even though I have 2 funny stories about the game.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. But yeah, I'm like, that's actually a perfect idea, because a lot of the stuff here is like, they're my games. Not all of them, but like most of them. So I'm like, yeah, that's actually a perfect idea. So, okay. So there's another one that, again, I think this is universal. Giant rule book or rules reference.
Holy cow.
Okay, so if you watch the stream when we played Marvel United, this is not an example of it, but it's a good example of like, you saw us, we were reading the rule book, trying to figure out how to play the game, because that was the first time both of us have played the game, right?
Yeah, I've never played it before.
Yeah. Again, another shout out to Scott. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you. That was our judge for the evening.
Yeah, well, one of our community members was in the chat helping us out playing the game. That was helpful.
Yeah.
But we're trying to read the rule book, right? To figure out how to play the game, right? So if you open up any game and there's this giant stack, this book this thick,
return it.
You're like, okay, I should probably spend the night figuring out how to play this game. That way, when we go to play the game tomorrow, I'm prepared and ready to go.
Just watch a video on it.
Watch it played. Hopefully, Rodney did a rules video on it and told you how to play it.
Right.
You know, comment below how is that what you do when you play a new game? Just go to watch it played and see if they have done a how to play on it.
That's what I did with Tapestry.
Oh yeah.
My first playthrough of it, I'm like, I don't want to read this, and I just watched a video.
Was it Rodney? Was it Watch It Played?
I don't know. I don't know who it was.
Okay.
But yeah,
Probably.
I just had to watch a
was.
video on it.
Yeah.
It was like,
yeah.
I can't read through. This is a lot of stuff in Tapestry.
A lot of it too is like how you learn.
Yeah, true.
Like some people are visual learners, some people are auditory. You know, we all learn in different ways.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I also just have a problem with reading. I think I might be dyslexic or something.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's some things, especially if I like glance over a word, I'm like, wait, does that say that? And I look back, I'm like, that wasn't even close to what I thought.
Well, and some people read really slow too.
Yeah.
You know, some people read really slow. Some people, their reading comprehension isn't there. So, like for me, I'm very much a visual learner. I prefer watching a video.
Yeah.
It helps me understand a concept better when I'm watching something or watching someone explain it versus reading it. Like my reading comprehension is there, but I much prefer watching it than reading it.
Yeah.
So if I have to read, if there's not a video on it, I'm not that I'm screwed, but like by the time I'm done reading it and then understanding it, I'm already exhausted.
Yeah.
That makes it something exhausted for me. So, all right, before we get into the next thing we wanted to touch on, so I thinking about this in terms of card games, right? Cat oven combo.
Yes.
Okay, that is an example of
It's not
something,
the card of the week.
Yeah. So cat oven combo, there is it's a 2-card combo, Witch's Oven, which is an artifact where you can tap it, sacrifice a creature, make a food token. Token, you pay 2 mana.
Yeah, 2 mana.
2 mana, sacrifice the food token, gain 3 life.
Yeah.
Now, if you sacrifice a creature that's power 4 or more, I believe you create 2 food tokens off of Witch's Oven, something like that.
Yeah.
And then Cauldron Familiar is the cat. Okay, it is a one mana.
1/1.
It's a 1 mana 1/1.
Yep.
Where when it enters the battlefield, target opponent. I think it's target opponent loses 1 life. You gain 1 life.
Yeah. Or each opponent. I forget exactly.
Yeah, it's something like that. So what you can do, and also when it's in your graveyard, you can sack 1 food.
It's so good.
And then it comes back to the battlefield.
Yeah, and then triggering the ETB effect.
Triggering
drain
ETB,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
So very difficult to deal with when you always have a Witch's Oven, a food token.
Yes.
Because that's like instant speed. You can do all of that at instant speed. It's very difficult to interact with. Super difficult to interact with. So that combo itself led to many scoops. So normally, like I remember when it was in standard. Okay, if I was playing the deck, people would scoop. If I wasn't playing the deck and I saw it, there was times that I was scooping. Like if it was a non-competitive scenario, I would just scoop because I didn't want to deal with it. Right.
So also takes a lot of time because you're hitting them for 1 at a time.
Okay. So what I wanted to touch on is, and I'm only using this example because it's one that's just in the front of my mind. But it's an example of a deck, not even necessarily a deck, but just a combo, 2 cards that was literally everywhere in standard.
Yeah.
Everywhere. So what's exhausting is running across the same, in a card game, running across the same deck, the same combo, game after game after game after game after game. I used to think, and I've mentioned this before, but the term diversity, deck diversity, right? Yeah. I used to roll my eyes at it, right? Because normally when in my head, when normally someone talks about diversity, I'm just like, okay, yeah, whatever, right? I don't put much stock in it, right? However, and there's so many different applications you can talk about diversity, right? So many different applications, right? When it comes to card games, like deck diversity, right? That's how that term was being applied, deck diversity, right? I'm like, I initially rolled my eyes. I'm like, whatever. But this is a perfect application, right? Coming across the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, versus you're playing in a format where there's a multitude of different decks that are not only being played but also competitive.
Yeah.
So it's never a good thing typically in card games where if you're in a competitive format or like a tournament, the top 8 are all the same decks.
Tier 0 deck.
That's terrible for the health of a card game. It's terrible for the health of a card game because you're not showcasing all the different cards that are in the format. And so when I finally understood that, I'm like, oh no, deck diversity, like that's huge. That's a very important thing. So when I started playing Modern, I'm like, oh man, there's a lot of different decks that are super competitive at the moment.
Can you imagine if, say, there was a mono blue tempo list in Standard?
Shut up.
What did I say, Dan?
Shut up.
Let's say just a random color, random game, whatever. And you just had to verse it every single game.
Yeah. Yep.
That'd be exhausting?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm
We're going to clip that right here.
I'm trying to remember when that was in Standard.
Yeah.
Was that everywhere? Was that like super popular?
The mono blue tempo list was like everywhere.
It was. Curious Obsession.
And then it went into Demir Rogues.
Oh yeah, it got that's
it turned into Demir Rogues, and then you were like,
Demir
F that too.
So I remember when Battle for Zendikar was, everybody was talking about Rogues. Everybody was talking about Rogues when that set was coming out. Yeah,
they put in work.
Yeah, it did. So again, the whole same deck, I mean, that turns people off. I remember people, and that still happens. It still happens. And that's why like designing these sets is super important. Yeah. But it turns people off. That is a perfect example of something that makes a card game exhausting. Lack of deck diversity. Huge.
Yeah. Especially if you want to be competitive, but you really only have like one kind of play style. And if that one deck is just obviously destroying everything it is you're doing, if you're going online or going to a local tournament trying to get in reps with your deck and you're just getting destroyed. But even aside from that, you could just be like, I don't want to see these cards anymore. Show me something new. You know?
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah. And so, and that's where like, one of the great things about Magic is the multitude of different formats. Yeah. So like if you just play Standard, you could just be like, all right, I'm not going to play Standard anymore. I'm going to play Historic, Explorer, Pioneer, Modern, Vintage. So many different formats you can do. And that's why I'm super glad I got into playing Modern, right? Because it's like, oh, this is very cool. This is a format that I've had zero experience with. Now I'm playing with all these cards that I never played with before. Like when Modern Horizons, I'm like, okay, Modern Horizons, all right, I guess cool. I mean, these cards are cool. Can I play it in Commander? Like, what can I do in Commander with these cards?
They're kind of broken right now.
But now I'm like, oh my goodness, these cards are insane. What's crazy is like the Modern Horizons cards, they're all over the Modern format.
Yeah,
they're
Modern
everywhere.
Horizons 2 was huge for Modern format.
Yep.
I don't remember too much from Modern Horizons 1. I know that there are some things like the Horizon Lands for sure. But this latest set, they made some crazy stuff. Ridiculous.
Urza Saga is a card.
Ragavan's a card.
Yeah.
All the elemental, the evoke elementals in every color. Everyone gets played.
Every single one.
Every single one gets played.
That's crazy. Like, I mean, that just goes to show you like how well they did with that set. That was really good. Okay, so I literally just had a thought. So we're talking about deck diversity, basically, right? Okay, before we, I want you to think for a second before we go on to what we were going to say about each other.
Oh, okay.
Did you have any other thoughts, real quick, as I try and think about the thought that was literally just in my head?
Dang it.
Yeah. All right. So
Bad news is nothing else is jumping out at me to talk about.
yeah.
But I got like 2 things specifically for you. So
All right.
yeah,
so here's what we're gonna do. So we've got a couple things. I've got one big thing for Jim. So he's got his things. I want you to talk about what you think some of my things are.
Okay.
And that'll give me a little bit of time. I should have wrote this down. But that's what happens. Like when stuff just pops in your head, you're like, you got to write it down or else it's gone forever. So I'm trying to give myself a little more time to think about this. So I'm interested to hear about this, Jim.
All right. One specifically for Dan that definitely makes him exhausted from games.
Yeah.
Is when he's trying to get something done in his board state and someone just keeps getting rid of it. It's like, what? I can't play the game.
He's not wrong. He's literally not wrong.
You have any way to stop Dan at all from doing anything in the game?
Yeah.
Oh, he'll crack.
Yeah.
He'll crack.
I used to crack a lot.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, now, especially when I'm playing Magic, right? It's like, I just expect it. Like, especially if I see that island, I'm like, all right, there's just going to be a lot of counters. I have to figure out my way around it. And that's why playing Amulet Titan, like these combo decks, like it's like really my play style. It's really into my lane of kind of how my brain operates and how I like to think about the problems. But yeah, like I'm trying to put this puzzle together, get out of my way, and then, okay, my puzzle's complete. Boom, here you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Game.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. He's not wrong. Literally everything. It's, I want to build that engine.
Yep.
Build the engine, do the combo, do the thing. Yeah.
Yep.
I'll crack. All right. What's the next one?
The next one I had is when there's a lot of questions and the answer just isn't inherently right there. And it's like, oh, all right, well, now what do we got to do? Go to BGG. Oh, I have this other question. What do you mean I have to go to BGG, go to the 302nd page on this thread just to get my answer?
Yep.
Yeah.
I have a way of, I need to know because it's like, I want it to be right.
Yeah.
Like it's, I don't know what that is either. Like it's just, I don't know. I might have like a habitual need to like be right. I don't know, man.
You're just doing things correctly.
That's the thing. Like I want it to be done right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I value it being right sometimes too much. And I know that. I get it. I know. You don't think I know? I know. So yeah. He's not wrong again. All right, the one big thing for Jim that makes a game exhausting is no interaction. Not being able to interact with the table.
I'm so bored if I can't, man.
I told you.
Oh, I get so bored.
If there's ways to play and there's either you can do your own thing, build something, or just F with somebody else, he will choose F with somebody else every single time. Every time. Which is why, like, it perfectly explains why he likes to play Control.
Yeah.
But again, I'm still never going to get, I am never going to get around how he likes to play Control and mess with people, but then there's like a time limit on his mind.
Yeah.
Right? Like I for the life of me, I'm never going to understand that. Like I know it's a thing. I know it.
Yeah.
But I'm all about understanding why things happen. I'll never get there for this one.
All right, now thinking about it, right? Yeah. It's the ultimate mess with someone when you just have someone else win, dude. Dan's like, you gotta be kidding me. You're just gonna give them the win?
That is so true. Yeah. That is so true. But you didn't think about that until just now.
I just thought about that right now.
All right.
Oh, man.
Hey, you know what? That makes sense in my head.
Oh man.
You are so not wrong.
Yeah.
They're so
That's
right,
so
dude.
funny.
That's hilarious. Holy cow. Yeah, what do you guys think about that? That's pretty funny.
Yeah, that is.
The ultimate mess with somebody. I'm going to mess with you so you don't win. Now I'm going to let this other person win.
Yeah.
And he has done that to me so many
many
times.
times.
So many
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I've brought it upon myself so many times as well. 100%.
There have been very few
100%.
moments in, especially playing Commander with people, to where I can go past that hour-long mark, like hour and a half. When we were playing at Game Storm with Brady, Justin was sitting in between us.
5-player.
Was it 5-player? Okay.
5-player match.
Yeah, so the 5-player match we had, I was so determined to win that game.
Yes.
I'm like, because you were playing Coma, I believe.
Yeah.
Dan was playing Coma.
Yeah, I was playing.
I was playing Talrand. Obviously, I'm
yeah.
always playing Talrand. And because Dan is also playing like a control deck as well.
Yeah.
Clone stuff, but
Yeah.
then just have really good cards as well. And
I was playing control stuff to make it so when people tried to stop me, I could stop them from stopping me. Was
Exactly.
what it was.
Exactly. Dan's like, I got to stop Jim from stopping me.
Exactly.
But if Dan remembered from one of our first game that he's ever met me, Dan, you can't stop me. You can't stop me from stopping you. Okay, there's no way. And so
It's always fun playing Commander with Jim.
yeah. And in our game, I can. That's honestly probably the only moment off the top of my head where I broke through my limits of my mindset.
But it's not a limit
hour.
then. It's not a
I know,
limit.
it's crazy.
It's a choice.
It's a habit at that point.
But
my
see,
habit of wanting the game over at between an hour and a half.
So it's a
long.
choice.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a choice? Would you say it's a choice?
I don't know. I would say normally I'm just mentally drained for those games.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't even really say it's just a choice of it. I was just mentally drained, but in that specific,
You weren't there yet.
I was not mentally
So
drained.
I wonder if do you think that being a 5-player game has something to do with it? Because I think so. Because like if you think about it, like if you're playing a 5-player game, okay, at an hour, you're not, let's say 4-person game at an hour, you're at turn 10.
Yeah.
On a 5-player game,
Sure,
you might be at turn 6.
It would be like
or
20%
something like that.
longer or
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
Sure. Maybe.
I wonder if that has something to do with it.
I'm sure it could have.
It could have, yeah. But I'm always asking those questions. Like,
Yeah.
I find something, especially with him, there's so many times I'm like, dude, I don't get it, man.
Yeah. And then also in that game when Justin was able to he killed you.
Yeah, he did.
And you were like, why didn't you just attack Jill?
He did, yeah. Yeah. That was funny.
Yeah.
But again, I brought it upon myself. As I normally do.
I just make friends at the commander table, and then people just let me get second or first if I'm able to then take them out.
Yep.
So,
All right. What do you think? What are ways that make games? I can't remember the thing that I had in my head. It's gone. It's gone forever. It vanished into the ether. It's gone. Sorry, guys. I'll probably it'll come to me. So when we're done recording, it's literally gonna come to me. That's when it's gonna come to me. So all right, but what are some ways that make games exhausting for you? Let us know in the comments if you're watching down below. Shoot us an email. We'd love to know what are some ways that make games exhausting for you, whether it's card games, board games, any type of game. Let us know. Is it because the person you're playing with is terrible or what?
why are you pointing at me, Dan?
Because you're the only other person at this table.
Point at yourself.
That's why. Is that person like the worst ever? I'm pointing to myself now.
Yeah,
Okay. But if you're thinking about somebody else, don't think about yourself. What are you doing to make the situation better for yourself and the table? Because if there's someone making it bad, there means there should be someone at the table making it actually better for everyone else. And again, like Jim was saying, right? He's thinking about himself, and he's thinking about what is making him happy, right? But also thinking about the table and making friends at the table, seeing what they're doing, seeing if they're enjoying themselves. And then if he's at his limit, if everyone else still wants to keep going, he'll just remove himself from the situation, right? That is a perfect example of, thinking about yourself. You want to call it your mental health, that's fine as well, right? But also thinking about other people at the table. Don't forget about the other people sitting at the table. Don't do it. Don't put your preferences and what you want and your enjoyment ahead of everyone else.
It's more important things than winning.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Always there is. Don't put something ahead of something else that matters more. So I think that's what I'll say. So, all right. With that, we're going to talk about the card of the week.
Yes.
You know what? We need to get some theme. I want to get some little jingle. We need some kind of jingle for the card of the week, right? So, Jim, do you want to talk about this week's card of the week? Because this was your idea, this one.
No, I don't, Dan.
No, you don't.
No, I'm joking. All right. Another one of my favorite cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Specifically GOAT format.
Wait. Yu-Gi-Oh?
What? What card were we talking about? Oh, I was thinking the other card.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Guys, I forgot we changed the card.
We literally
because
did.
I literally I picked
changed
it, but in my brain it was that other card.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. This other card. One of my most hated cards and most loved cards.
But that's why when he said his most
format.
favorite, I'm like, no, it's
That's
not.
my most favorite. No. I'm a big fan of the card right now.
Yeah,
I kind of love this card.
Right.
It's called Ragavan. Is there anything else?
Yeah, Nimble Pilferer.
Nimble Pilferer.
Yep.
A new legendary card.
Do you know what it does?
Yes.
All right.
Kind of.
All right, let's hear it.
It's a 2/1 for a single red mana.
Yep.
Then, whenever it deals damage to an opponent, you make a treasure token, and you also exile the top card of their deck. For that turn, you're able to play it or cast it.
No,
whatever
you
it
may
says.
cast that
Yeah, you
card.
may cast it.
Yep.
Because if it's a land, you can't play it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, and then it also has dash, so a colorless and a red mana. It comes into play pretty much with haste, but at the end of the turn, it returns back to your hand.
Yeah, so that dash is nice.
That's huge.
Dash is very, very nice. Being able to just bring that back to your hand. That way, if your opponent doesn't have instant speed removal.
Maybe you got like a Teferi out on board. They can only play at sorcery speed. You can't do anything about it.
Yeah. So yeah, Ragavan is Ragavan's a card.
Yeah.
The monkey is kind of everywhere
He's
in
so
modern.
good. So the format is
I didn't realize I didn't realize how good this card was. I really didn't.
So in the modern format, okay, the format is pretty much based around if you're able to turn one Ragavan, outvaluing your opponent, or be able to kill the turn one Ragavan.
Yeah.
That's otherwise they just get so much value out of it.
Yeah.
They're essentially ramping the mana, and then if they have a card from your deck that is really good, then they steal it and use it against you.
Yeah. So I play Amulet Titan, right? That's why I like the Grazer. The Grazer is an 0/3.
Yep.
So it
Just
gives me a
bodies
body, gives me a perfect body to be able to block every single turn if possible. You know, assuming that card's not dealt with. Very nice to have at least a body that is just the fact that it has reach is nice, but in this specific application, be able to block Ragavan. Because when we were prepping for a tournament, he'd play out Ragavan. I'd have that body just. I mean, I think there was only, one time he was able to hit with Ragavan.
Yeah,
just the one time. Yeah. Was able to do something about it,
which was huge. I definitely
it was because you cast the
well, I didn't even need the Dryad. I just wanted to play it because I thought it was cool. I definitely should have kept open that counter spell in hand.
Oh, you had to
because I lost that game. Yeah. I'm like, all I had to do was counter his next Dryad that he summoned out, and then I would have been fine.
Yep.
So but it's all right.
Yeah. So but the ramp. The ramp is crazy.
Yep.
Like in a format like modern, especially ramping every turn, like the first turn, ramping turn 1 is big.
Yeah.
But then being able to, so if you do it turn 1, you untap into turn 2 with 3 mana, assuming you hit your land drop.
Yep.
You hit again. You have exiled.
Turn 2 it would be you have 3 mana at most.
Right, but what I'm saying is if you swing in turn 2, you now have 4 mana, and you hit.
Well, the Ragavan doesn't have haste though.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so he's not
right.
swinging in turn.
So
1.
on turn 1, he's not swinging.
Yeah.
And that's why the Grazer's perfect.
Yeah,
because on your turn 1 Ragavan, on my turn 1 Grazer, perfect. I'm ready.
Yep.
To block, right? That's right. I forgot, but he only has haste if you do dash.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but that flexibility to give him haste is very nice. Yeah. So that's huge.
Because off chance you top deck him, like turn 5, turn 6, whatever it is, you're just like, oh, dash him in. If you know that they can't handle him at instant speed and there's like nothing on the board, you can just swing in haste, bring him back to hand.
Do you know what the market price for Ragavan is right now?
What is he, like $80?
Yeah.
Yep.
The market is $79.59.
Yep. Sounds about right.
That's crazy. That is insane.
I mean, technically there's more than one printing, kind of.
Yeah. There's the
it came
normal
from one
print.
set.
Yeah, it came from one set. You've got the normal set or the normal printing, and then you have the borderless art. Now this is the borderless art. So I wonder if the other printing, I'll have to see if it's cheaper.
They are also reprinting him in the, I think they're, that's Dockside Extortionist.
Yeah. Let's say they just he just came out in Modern Horizons 2.
When did Modern Horizons 2 come out, though? I thought that's
a good question.
I thought that was last year.
Oh, maybe it was.
Because when we grouped up with the guys at Gaming Goat.
Uh-huh.
Ooh, yeah. I think
regular printing is $64.
Okay.
64, 65.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to
still up there.
I'm trying to see if there's a date on it.
Yeah, you would just have to Google that real quick. I don't think there'd be a date.
Modern Horizons 2 is what we want, right?
Yeah, MH2.
Let's check this out. Modern Horizons 2 release date. Here we go.
So partially because of this card, there's been I put an MTGO modern deck in the Discord the other day. It was mono red good stuff.
Yeah.
The deck was obviously playing Ragavan because there's no reason not to.
Correct.
I honestly don't know if that would even be a deck if Ragavan wasn't a thing. I mean, sure, there were other good cards in the deck, but Ragavan is just such a monster to allow you to accelerate into like a Chandra Torch of Defiance on a turn 3.
Real quick, Modern Horizons 2, June 18th, 2021.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Almost exactly a year ago. Slightly above it.
Did I say June 21st?
June 18th, I thought you said.
Oh, June 18th.
I mean, regardless, we're almost in July.
The reason I said June 21st is it's my wife and I's anniversary.
Oh.
That's why I was like, we just had our anniversary. 8 years.
Congrats.
8 years. All right. So let me see. Do I have? I'm trying to see what I want to do. Is you just mentioned that MTGO list in the Discord. So I'm pulling up Discord right now because what I want to know is how many cards in that list were from Modern Horizons 2.
Ooh, Unholy Heat's in there.
Okay.
I think Blood Moon's also in there. Bone Crusher Giant.
Did you post it in the Modern? Yeah, here it is.
Yeah.
Here it is. Bone Crusher Giant. Here we go. Fury, of course, Fury.
Oh, dang. All right. I might not have posted it. So this one is Mono Red Eldrazi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but Ragavan's also in this deck.
Ragavan's also on this one with Fury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this list is gorgeous because you're also kind of already ramping into the Eldrazi with your lands.
Yeah.
But then Ragavan's like, all right, we're also going to do it.
Yeah.
So really, really good deck.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Ragavan's a card.
Yeah. And it honestly, when it came out, so many other decks pretty much threw it in there and it would change how all the other decks pretty much were, right? Which, I mean, makes sense. New cards come out, change it up a bit.
Yeah, right.
Right. But when, especially when you have access to a companion of like Luris at that time, you really change the deck up because then you're only playing cards, well, permanent cards with CMC 3 or less, or 2 or less.
2 or less.
Yeah. Has to be less than 3.
Yeah.
And
That card's banned.
yeah, it's banned now, thankfully. That ruined so much stuff.
I think he means made it better. That's
That
what he
ruined
means.
so much stuff, man. You know,
But that's also another example of seeing the same stuff over and over and over again.
That's why I'm saying it made it bad because it was in all top 8 of the decks.
Yeah.
Like Jund completely changed from going, well, what they used to call it Boomer Jund, pretty much playing Liliana of the Veil. You weren't playing that anymore. A Tireless Tracker, a Bloodbraid Elf, you're not doing that anymore. You're playing 1 and 2 drop creatures, maybe also a Ren and 6, and then playing Luris as your companion, and then playing nothing but really good instants and sorceries.
You think Ren and 6 will ever get banned?
Oh, I hope so.
I'm gonna say no because it's a planeswalker.
And
I feel like they don't ban planeswalkers in formats like Modern. I would say.
Well, they have before. Jace Mind Sculptor got banned. Oko got banned.
Oh, yeah.
But then again, Oko's stupid.
banned like literally everywhere.
I think Oko's banned in Legacy now.
That would not surprise me. It would not surprise me at all.
Yeah. So
Stop making 2-drop planeswalkers.
Well, Oko was 3. Oko was a 3-drop.
Oh, that's right. He was a 3-drop.
The only 2-drop we have is
Ren and 6.
Well, we also have Tybalt.
Oh yeah, the uncommon.
Tybalt's garbage.
Well, yeah.
I was meaning the original.
The
original
okay,
one.
the OG. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Sure.
But technically, there is a Nissa that is 2 cost.
Wait a minute. Okay, I gotta look this thing up. Nissa Planeswalker MTG
It's Simic.
2 CMC. We'll just say it like that. Simic. Of course, it's Simic. Oh, you're talking about the X Simic.
And it's technically
That's
2
technically
cost,
2.
man.
Let's see. Market price $1.
$1.
$1. Yep. Nissa Steward of Elements.
That's not bad though.
Yeah, it comes in with X loyalty.
Yeah, that's not a bad card. It's pretty good. You just make infinite mana and be like, I have infinite loyalty.
Yeah.
Cool.
It has to be a number though.
Yeah.
Just make it
A really
7.
high number.
Yeah. Yeah. But the -6 is untap up to 2 target lanes you control. They become 5/5 elemental creatures with flying and haste.
Yeah.
They're still lands.
Yeah. It's okay.
It's okay. All right.
It's about $1. So.
Exactly. It's about $1.
Yeah. And I was talking to Avi last night, and he was saying that if they ban Ren and 6, he thinks it would fix the format a bit.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. But I also think Avi has some hot takes when it comes to Magic.
Avi has hot takes.
He is saying that 4 color is like the best deck in the format.
Oh, hold up. He played that deck yesterday, and I beat him.
Yeah. Well, he was also saying that he doesn't even think the deck wins to your list.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Right.
and I think he was also saying
because he said that it's a difficult matchup for him.
He was also saying pretty much any decks that are just super
Fast.
low that get in
low to the
that kill
ground.
you like real quick.
Yeah, right.
That can get under you. The deck has a problem with, which I completely understand.
Which I pressured him really good yesterday.
Yeah.
In both games. Yeah. So yeah. We need to have Avi on. I think that'd be a really good conversation for everybody. So we got to plan that at some point. So we'll have to do that on an episode of the podcast for you guys. So all right. Well, that was a conversation, guys. That went a lot longer than I honestly thought that that was going to. But that was a good conversation. That went in ways I did not expect it to.
That was a fun one. We realized a lot of things. Yeah,
before, during, and after. So, all right. Well, that's all we got for you guys today. Jim, where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram at Jim Morgan HNH.
You guys can find me on Twitter at _DG Campbell and on Instagram at Daniel.G.Campbell. If you head over to our website, www.hobbiesandhappiness.com, you can find links to just about all our social platforms, YouTube channel, Facebook, everything right there. You can check out our podcast there as well. You can find the podcast on all podcasting platforms, as well as the video version on YouTube as well. All right, well, that's all we got for you guys today. Thanks for hanging out, and we will catch you in the next episode. See everybody.
Take care.